The Secretary General will be heading to Stockholm, Sweden on Tuesday to attend the Stockholm Plus 50 conference, which is being convened by the United Nations and co-hosted by the governments of Sweden and Kenya. The meeting will take place 5 decades after the 1972 landmark UN Conference on the Human Environment, which led to the creation of the UN Environment Programme. The meeting will also provide leaders with an opportunity to draw on 50 years of multilateral environmental action to secure a better future for a healthy planet. The Secretary General will urge countries to embrace the human right to a clean, healthy environment for all people everywhere, especially in poor communities, women and girls, indigenous people, young people, and generations to come. On the margins of the conference, he will meet with representatives of the Stockholm Plus 50 Youth Task Force. During his visit, he will also meet with the Prime Minister of Sweden, Magdalena Andersson, as well as His Majesty Carl Gustaf, the King of Sweden, and Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Victoria, and other high-level officials. He will also meet with members of the UN High-Level Advisory Board on Effective Multilateralism. As we mentioned to you yesterday, the Emergency Relief Coordinator, Martin Griffiths, is in Malabo in Equatorial Guinea, where today he spoke at the opening of the African Union Extraordinary Humanitarian Summit and Pledging Conference. Mr. Griffiths is representing the Secretary General there. In his address, Mr. Griffiths said that many of the struggles Africa faces are driven by forces far beyond the continent, including conflict, climate change, and the COVID-19 pandemic, and the spiraling cost of commodities. He noted that millions of people on the continent are being pushed to the edge of survival. Tomorrow, also in Malabo, the head of our counterterrorism office, Vladimir Voronkov, will represent the Secretary General at the opening session of the AU Extraordinary Summit on Terrorism and Unconstitutional Changes of Government. In his remarks, Mr. Voronkov is expected to say that terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda and Daesh, as well as their affiliates, have intensified attacks in Africa, killing and wounding innocent civilians and aggravating intercommunal tensions. He will reiterate the UN's commitment to continuing to work with the African Union and African member states to tackle the threat posed by terrorism and violent extremism in compliance with human rights and the rule of law. His full remarks will be posted tomorrow on the Counterterrorism Office's website. Following his activities in Equatorial Guinea, Mr. Griffiths will be in Mali starting tomorrow. He's expected to meet with government officials and representatives of the humanitarian and donor communities. Mr. Griffiths will see humanitarian projects and meet with impacted communities in Mali. As we've mentioned, the humanitarian situation in the country has significantly deteriorated as a result of conflict and intercommunal clashes. Today, 7.5 million men, women, and children, or 1 in 4 Malians, require humanitarian assistance. The level of need is higher than at any point since the beginning of the crisis in 2012. For example, 1.8 million people will need food assistance this year. That's an increase of 51% compared to last year. Humanitarian funding has steadily decreased over the past years, even though the needs have increased. As of now, the revised requirement of $685.7 million sought to assist 5.3 million people this year is only 11% funded. On May 17th, the UN Central Emergency Response Fund announced a rapid response allocation of $8 million targeting food security and nutrition. Regarding northern Ethiopia, we and our humanitarian partners are continuing to provide assistance across Tigray, Afar, and Amhara. In the past week, 300 trucks carrying food and other supplies arrived in Tigray in the Samara-Abala-Mekele Road. Since the resumption of convoys at the beginning of April, 875 trucks have arrived in Tigray, carrying more than 32,800 tons of supplies, and that includes some food and nutrition supplies. As you'll recall, before April, convoys had been interrupted for more than 3 months. 5 additional tankers with fuel also arrived in Tigray last week. The sustained flow of fuel is critical to the humanitarian operations in the region, with some 200,000 liters needed each week. Some 644,000 liters of fuel have been brought in since the start of April.